Hey, my name is Adrian Burden, and I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Christ who happens to be black, and I try my best by the grace of God to look through the lens of the Bible for all the answers in our life. And as we kind of address the situation that's taking place with the George Floyd situation, I do hope and pray we can look very much as a society together, looking at this and see what should our responsibility be. The question I want to address during this section is, hey Adrian, we're all one blood, right? So why exactly are we making this about a race thing? Doesn't race not even exist, Adrian? Adrian, why on earth then will you seem to be adding fuel to the fire because you keep saying all these insightful things of even acknowledging the black community, white community? Why do we use this type of language? Well, that's great. I don't prefer the word race, okay? But I do think that there's an automatic connotation that then comes up when you say the word race because we kind of have used it so much. We use different words in different ways all the time in our society today. So I use the word race. I prefer the word culture. Culture is a set of habits and practices a group of people have. And sometimes this word is used, and I don't necessarily care for the word, but I do see and try to see the best of why people use the word. And that is to say the word, hey, Brother Adrian, I am just colorblind. I don't see color. I don't see those things. And so I believe the best about people. I just treat every human being the same because, again, we're all one blood. I only kickback I would like to give to that word of colorblind is that, well, God created color, This is, I know there's colorblind people that are out there, and I don't know your heart, but you might want to be able to see colors to some degree. You see a more complete picture. I go to Central America, and I see a group of a culture that's different than mine. They do life differently than what we do in the United States, and it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a good thing that God has created. I think that when you see the resultant fingerprint of sin put upon these different things, I think you see the ugliness of what it is. This matter of racism and bias is nothing new. Samaritan woman, they wanted to go around Samaria. Jonah didn't want to preach to the Ninevites. I mean, you go all the way through the Gentile battle and different things. This is nothing new. But during this time, want to really get to the root, and then I believe kind of put some meat on the bones of understanding where this is coming from and why it seemingly keeps propping his head up again, and why can't we just be content and just sing Kumbaya around a campfire and just say we're all one blood, okay? There's a reason why it's hard. When I go forward in this, I will probably use the word racism and bias I would kind of use it interchangeably. But I think when you get down to the root of it, if you just follow me for the train of thought biblically just for a second, understand that I believe the sin that made the devil is the source behind this area, and that is P-R-I-D-E, pride. Pride is what made the devil. Pride is what makes me feel more superior to another person. And in Luke chapter number 15, I'm always going to go to the Bible. And so in Luke chapter number 15, you find one of the most arrogant men in the Bible. And when you see this man, his name, you don't know his name, but it's the prodigal son's brother, the older brother. The story, you can read it later, but I really want you to understand the reason why I call him the most arrogant person in the Bible outside the devil is because it's so ingrained inside of him that it looks natural, that it seems okay. You see, when Paul in Galatians chapter number 2 withstands Peter to the face, what Peter is doing is he had just preached Pentecost. I mean, this guy was on fire for God. Who would touch a guy like this? But he still realized that there was still an undersea pride in his life and how he was treating the Gentiles and the prejudice thereof. When you say the matter about racism, usually people run to their resume of what they've done for the white community, the black community, the Asian community, or whatever it is. See, I just want to say, hey, look, these things, let's not just say, let's work on racism. Let's, as a community, work on pride, because we all struggle with pride, okay? So the prodigal son's brother sees his younger brother come back home. He's in the field. The Bible says in verse number 28, and verse 28, Luke 15, verse 28, he says this, and he was angry. He got mad that his brother had returned safe and sound to the house. You see, the pride does is it can manipulate us into thinking thinking. And the times when you should be most excited for a people, when a people have gotten a win in their life, it takes their win and it makes you angry, because the issue does not lie in just the way they look. It lies that many times we are so comfortable with who we like, what we like, and how we roll. And if anybody distracts from that, if anybody moves us from that thinking, then we feel violated inside, and sometimes we become angry, and we've got to recognize that that is pride. You see, getting to the root of it, he says in verse number 29, he says, "Lo, these many years do I serve thee," talking to his dad, "neither transgress I at any time thy commandment, and yet thou never gavest me a kid." What he says to his dad, again, another prideful move, is, look what I've done. I've done so many incredible things. I mean, come on. I've never transgressed the law ever. I've always been incredible. Listen to the young man speak. What he's saying as he goes to this passage is eaten up with pride. Look at what our society is. Look what we have done for these communities over here. You see, sometimes we see racism as whether or not you hand out chocolates to another group of people who are different than you. What I'm saying is that we can go and violate that which is in the book of James, where we're simply biased towards certain groups of people and how we treat other people. You see, yes, we are one blood. Yes, we are one people. We are all sinners before God, and we will stand before God in the judgment day. But understand this, even though we are one blood, and there is a breakdown, yes, spiritually speaking, between the Christian and the non-Christian, and those who are Christians need to shine their light into this lost and dying world to reach those who are non-Christian. But the reality is, when we are in this human flesh, it still looks a certain way. And even though everyone doesn't do it like you may do it, and everybody might not talk the way that you talk, and you see how this grows beyond. This is not just a racial thing. Look how things have been handled in our country concerning COVID-19. The group over here, a segment, we're right. Open everything, close everything. What I'm saying is, it's not just races. It's not just a racial battle. It's an everything battle. It's in every area of our life. We want to be right because we want to be able to have that assurance, because we all are struggling with pride, and pride is part of this nature. And I don't care if you've been saved longer than Methuselah, it has not changed the fact that we have this struggle and understanding what the root is. Then we won't just walk out and say, you know what, I struggle with the black community or the Asian community or the white community. No, this is bigger than that. It's pride. You know, he also says right here in verse number 30, and he says to his dad, "But this, as soon as this thy son was come, which hath devoured thy living with harlots, thou hast killed for him the fatted calf." Now, when you read the story, and obviously this is the account that we have, but you never read that the older brother ever actually knows what the brother did while he was gone away. He had not even come and seen his brother at this point in the story. And so when you're looking at this story, do you know what it does? In this passage here, it assumes the worst about people and their motives. It assumes the worst of others. And see, society, I'm talking, I don't care what color you are. I don't care what situation you find yourself in. I don't care what your economic status is. Listen, we sometimes have a propensity to assume the worst of individuals. Listen, I look at different videotapes and I automatically think that I understand every scenario and every situation. I try before I open my mouth to prayerfully consider every angle, trying to get the benefit of the doubt. And every society and every community that is listening can take note of that and understand that, yes, there are things that we do not fully understand. But when we have a prideful heart, we automatically assume that the people not wearing a mask are just evil people, and we assume the people who are wearing a mask are a certain way. What I'm saying is, it's in every area of our life. This church is not like my church, and this is not our thing. What the point is, you say, Adrian, you're not answering the question. I am answering the question. The question is begging the fact that this is bigger than just white and black and green and red. It's sin. It's pride. And until a group corporately hangs their hat and says, stop fighting, we need to set aside and ask God to forgive us of our pride. I know I probably haven't answered the question thoroughly. I know I probably have left things out, and there are questions that may be had. But I know by the grace of God, I've tried to answer the question the best that I can. I ask if you have any follow-up questions, inbox message me, talk to me. Can I just ask this? Let's not fight. The Bible says only by pride cometh contention. I don't want to fight. Let's figure it out. Maybe you don't understand something I'm saying. Maybe I don't understand something that you may be saying. But nothing is going to be gained by cursing each other out. I will take this moment as well and say how grieved I am about the rioting that's taking place. I have no idea. I have no real voice. But with the little voice I have, I say we as a people, we have to be careful to very much that we are sometimes undermining the very thing we are trying to stand for. We must stop. We must, by the grace of God, not let pride then take its place. The reason that pride is so detestable before God is because it is the very opposite of love. You cannot ascribe at all worth upon a person when you are demeaning a person. And therefore, a prideful attitude is present. So God help us in this area of pride. Because that's the bottom line.